Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Today I'd like to have a quick chat with you to let you know what's going on. I have repeatedly pledged to keep myself as open and as honest as I can, so this video is an effort to maintain that transparency. So let's talk about the class guides. I know they're pretty big. I've been spending a lot of time thinking about them recently, and I'm starting to move towards the conclusion that working on them as they are right now isn't going to work. Let me explain why. When I want to create a class guide, so say the Protection Paladin guide, my most recent one, I have to go through a pretty lengthy process, as you would imagine. Assuming that the character is already at level 100, if it's not, then goodness me, but I have to research the specialization to start off with, learn their talent choices, spend time practicing in dungeons and LFRs, and master it basically as fast as I can. Then, after that, I have to write the script for the guide, which can easily take 2 or 3 days thanks to mistakes and extra research, and normally ends up being anywhere between 30 to 40 pages. After writing it, I will record the script. I'll do about 10 or so heroics and 2 to 3 raids, normally LFRs, although if I can get away with it, I'll be doing normal or heroic to get better footage. After that comes the editing. This is what takes the most amount of time. Editing the audio, the footage, adding titles, special effects, creating the intro and outro sequences. When everything's put together, it makes for a good video, yes, but it's also gonna have taken me anywhere between a week to 3 weeks, depending on delays. I have to say, you have no idea how many times hardware has screwed me over. Also add to this the fact that there are 11 classes, each with 3 specs, and one with 4. That's 34 videos. 4 down, 30 more to go. That's not just difficult. At the rate at which these videos are coming out, that's downright impossible for me to do. There's just no way I can create 30 more of these videos to the same level of quality as the ones that currently exist. Unfortunately, my own time frame has something to do with this, because as soon as the family gets home, I can't really work because of the way I've got things set up. That might change in the future, but for now, that's also a problem. Essentially, let me put it like this. If I dropped everything I was doing, didn't make any other videos, and just focused entirely on making these class guides 24/7 for 7 days a week, I wouldn't have had them done by the time Blizzard has updated the game via a patch or some kind of expansion, and my efforts would just be wasted. So right now, the way I have this set up isn't really doable, which means it has to change. Let me clarify though, this doesn't mean that I don't want to do them, and it doesn't mean that they're not successful. In fact, the class guides are my best videos without a shadow of a doubt, with the vast majority of subscribers, views, and retention figures coming from those videos. The attention to detail in them and the production quality have a lot to do with that, I think. I think that I'm very much known as the person, or at least people who watch my stuff, they know that my guides, especially the class guides, are very high quality. I do occasionally make mistakes with them, yes, but I think that the amount of stuff I get right with them makes up for the occasional mistake that can be made up for post-release with things like annotations. Anyway, my point with all of this is that despite the class guides being some of my best stuff, the way I'm working on them right now it's just not suitable. This video exists for 2 reasons. 1, to tell you what my new plan is, and 2, to ask you for suggestions and feedback about my plan. So, the plan is as such. For each specialization, I'm going to create 3 separate videos on average. Now, this might seem like, why are you raising your workload? Actually, it's not. It's more splitting up the class guides into 3 separate videos. So the first of these will be a basic guide. It will cover enough information to get a player into normal mode and doing pretty well with that particular class or spec. It'll cover things like what the class does, what the rotation is, its talents, how to gear, gem and enchant it, and what macros or add-ons I suggest go well with the class. The goal is for it to be anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes long. A nice, mostly brief introduction as to what the class does. The second video will be more an advanced guide, covering more advanced aspects of the class such as advanced talent choices, perfecting the rotation, and really any advanced tips that I would normally give in an advanced section of one of my guides. This one will likely be a bit longer, maybe 10 to 15 minutes long. The third video will be an above and beyond guide. Things that the player can do with the class to go above their role as a tank, healer, or a DPSer. For instance, for the Elemental Shaman, I would spend the video discussing how off-healing as an Elemental Shaman can save lives, and how useful it can be. I'd also discuss how to make the most out of the Shaman's utility spells. Earth Grab, Earth Bind, Grounding, Tremor, Capacitor Totems, things like that. That's just an example, but that's how I would structure it. For the Paladin, it would be things like their Hands of Protection, Lay on Hands, Bubbles, things like that. The idea with this whole setup is that I can create smaller videos more frequently and offer the same amount of information over a smaller period of time. I can do it in kind of whatever order I'd like, and each video would be made with the same level of quality that the class guides have now. Of course, each would also link to each other through annotations and on-screen buttons that a viewer could click on to jump between the guides. So if you looked at the basic guide, there would be maybe something in the corner or along the top that says, you know, if you want to see more advanced stuff, click here. Or you want to see other classes, click here. Things like that. Now, why have I decided to do all of this? Well, beyond just the advantages of being able to make guides more frequently and with a less colossal time frame, it has the advantage of being able to be released actually quite quickly. Imagine a year and a bit from now, right? The future. The next expansion has probably been announced, I hope so, and we're all preparing for it, right? I'll aim to have all of the classes at level 100, ready to play with. I can either head into the beta to start making guides there, or wait until release and start working really fast on each class and get those basic guides out quickly because they're not going to take too much learning. People who need those basic guides at the start of an expansion, you know, if you're re-rolling, anything like that, will be able to see those videos faster. Now, I know this because of timing. Now, this is just a quick aside, but timing with a YouTube video is everything. I cannot overstate this enough. Take my analytics, for example. Over the entirety of my channel, at least right now, the #1 video is my Elemental Shaman guide. My level 100 Warlords of Draenor Elemental Shaman guide. Fantastic, right? Great. I released that first, so it was coming out at a pretty good time. What's even more interesting, though, is my second most viewed video. My second most viewed video was actually a WoW live, a live raid. It was the first Warlords of Draenor raid. It was Highmaul normal mode, right? And that was done on the day that raiding was released and released the next day. And I just thought, I can just get it out, it could just be a nice little video that I can make to fill the time. But because of its timing, it got about 35,000 views since then. That's insane. That's the second highest video on my channel, and it's not really informative in any way. I didn't even edit it. I just released it, right? So, think about that. The timing of that video, it came out right after the raid's released, the day afterwards, as soon as it was actually possible for me to get that video up. And it got loads of views, because people wanted to see how the raids were. They wanted to see them happen, you know? And as a result, that video hit the nail on the head in terms of timing. The more I can do that with the class guides, the better. Because as soon as a guide is released, it can be released nice and early in an expansion's life, like really early, like the first couple of weeks, hopefully around that kind of time. Maybe the first month I can get as many of them done as I can. And those guides will be good for a long time, and they'll be out nice and fast, and people who are maybe re-rolling or are confused at level 100 can look it up and be like, ah, this is what I gotta do to be basic. And then later on I can start working on advanced guides for each of them, and then the above and beyond guides. Slowly over time, I can get them all done and release them more frequently as opposed to just one great big video once a month. It's just a much easier way to split up my workload, because let me tell you, making 4 of those videos basically back to back is difficult. It gets a bit draining. So hopefully this will help me and my passions a little bit more as well. So that's mostly what I have to talk about in this video. I will say, however, that I have ordered a few pieces of studio hardware that may allow me to make some videos with a decent webcam and a green screen. So if you have any suggestions for shows that you'd like to see, you know, me as in my face and my terrible hair, let me know. I've got a few ideas in mind, but I'd just like to know what you guys think. Of course, in addition, let me know what you think of this class guides idea. I really need to know what you think, whether you'd be alright with it. If you think you can find problems with it, let me know. I will be more than happy to have a conversation with you folks about this in the comments. As always, I offer my heartfelt thanks to my patrons for making this channel possible, with thanks today going out to Bear of Bark. That will conclude this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I wish you the best of luck in the world of Warcraft.